I hated working the overnight shift at Walmart, but I needed the money while I was in college. Usually the store was empty except for a few stalkers and the lone cashier up front me. But this night felt different. I couldn't shake the feeling that unfriendly eyes were watching me. Around 2 a.m., I went to use the restroom in the back. The lights flickered and hummed. I quickened my pace, hoping to get out fast. Then darkness. The power cut out, leaving me blind. The sudden silence made my skin prickle. Using my phone's dim light, I cautiously crept towards the door. Then, a loud crash echoed from somewhere in the blackness, followed by an unnatural grunting noise that turned my blood cold. This wasn't a person. My shaking hands struggled to find the door and I stumbled back into the sales floor. Still pitch black. I shined my light around desperately, but its dull glow only illuminated one aisle at a time. Each row now resembled a terrifying hall of shadows. The thing could be lurking behind any shelf, waiting to attack. My strained ears detected a scraping, dragging noise growing nearer. Not knowing which way safety lay, I ran blindly until I crashed painfully into a tall display, sending boxes tumbling down around me. The loud commotion gave away my location to the unseen stalking creature. Trying not to panic, I crouched trembling behind the display and prayed the thing wouldn't find me. The vile, heavy breathing and lumbering footsteps edged closer as I searched for a makeshift weapon. My hands closed around a heavy flashlight in an emergency kit. Gripping it tight, I prepared to defend my life alone in the dark against this supernatural entity haunting the night inside Walmart's endless aisles. The noises stopped abruptly. Had it lost track of me? Then a rack of items came crashing down one aisle over. Before I could react, the creature rounded the corner, blocking my only escape. Frozen in terror, I stared up at a hideous, inhuman face with black holes for eyes and sharp, blood-stained teeth dripping putrid saliva. It unleashed an ungodly wail that rose in pitch until my ears ached. As it lunged for my throat, swinging razor claws, I shut my eyes and screamed. Suddenly, the overhead lights blazed on. Blinded, I raised my arms, expecting ripping talons. But instead, a gentle voice said, "Excuse me, sir, is everything all right?" A stalker stared down, confused yet concerned. No monster lay before me. Heart still racing, I tried explaining, but only disjointed words came out, making me sound insane. The stalker said nervously, "Let me walk you to customer service," as if I was the threat now. Mortified at my outburst, I let him quickly escort me outside, promising to wait for police by my car. But I knew no one would believe what I really experienced inside Walmart at night. And I can never forget those empty black eyes following me even in daylight. So I found a new job and avoid that store after dark. I don't know why I agreed to restock shelves overnight at the Super Walmart for extra cash. Pushing my creaky cart through silent aisles in the witching hour gives me the creeps. But student loans are crushing, so here I am, shivering in the toy section at 2 a.m., praying for morning. I fill gaps on the shelves with plastic superheroes while fighting waves of unease. The lights seem to dim and flicker ominously. I laugh it off until a nearby crash makes me jump out of my skin. Heart pounding, I peek around the corner expecting spilled cans. Nothing. Then faint giggles echo as if unseen children wander the store after hours to torment me. Get a grip, I tell myself, but my nerves unravel further when all the lights go out abruptly. Blind, I abandon my cart and stumble through the black void, calling for help. The childish giggles return closer now, practically hissing in my ears. Panicked, I stagger faster until a small sneaker trips me and I crash painfully onto the hard tile. The mad, cackling swirls all around me. Desperate, I scramble to my feet, only to feel sharp little nails clawing at my legs, trying to pull me back down into the dark forest of shelving. Kicking wildly, I lurch free from their painful grasp and lurch deeper into the lightless store, losing all sense of direction. Finally, I slam into a door and burst gasping into the break room. But no salvation awaits. Faces of lifeless mannequins turn to glare at me from their scattered positions around the small space. My mind reels at the nightmarish scene as these plastic models rise up, coming closer with stiff, unnatural movements. No escape now from my personal terror, unfolding endlessly like the store's vast aisles. Strange, inhuman wails merge with the gleeful giggling. Hyperventilating, I squeeze my eyes shut and curl into a ball on the floor. Is this a psychotic break, or are supernatural forces inside this enormous box store toying with my sanity? Reality blurs into hallucination. I weep and beg for daylight, not knowing if I'll survive this house of horrors, posing as a friendly one-stop shop. When heavy footsteps finally approach, I scream knowing no one will hear me, trapped eternally wandering its eternal corridors I once raked for cash. Part 1. I never believed in ghosts or things that go bump in the night. A harmless, overnight job stocking shelves at the Super Walmart would be quick cash. Or so I foolishly thought before all hell broke loose. It started subtly with missing inventory on my checklist. As I pushed my squeaky pallet jack through the vacant aisles, the missing items grew alarming. Entire pallets of goods, nowhere to be found. Had items been shoplifted en masse while the few of us labored overnight? Unease prickled my skin. I shrugged it off until a blood-curdling shriek echoed from the depths of the store, freezing my spine. It cut short abruptly, unnatural silence descending. I chased for the source, but found only a dropped sneaker in the toy section. Fresh blood smeared on Hannah Montana's grinning face. No body or injured victim could be found. How had someone vanished so quickly? Dread flooded my guts when the overhead lights violently exploded in the electronics section, shards raining down as I cringed. Sabotage, muttered my store manager ominously. Yet no vandals were spotted on security footage. The mayor warned local businesses that a sadistic cult was on the rise in our town, targeting large chain stores to reap ritual human sacrifices. I shuddered imagining what evil lurked behind the Walmart's sterile fayade. Part 2. That night, my nightmare descended unrelenting. One by one, my coworkers disappeared mid-shift without a trace. Fluorescent bulbs burst mysteriously, cloaking whole sections in unnatural darkness. Blood and viscera appeared dripping from unseen victims too hideous to dwell upon. I hid petrified in the hunting section, fumbling for ammo with my tremoring fingers. Weapon loaded, I braced myself, unwilling to vanish like the others. Demonic cackling arose, preceding the heavy, dragging footfalls of something inhuman entering my aisle. Paralyzed by a hulking shape gliding through shadows, I aimed blindly, firing until empty. Silence. Gulping air, I reached for the lantern beam to reveal my tormentor felled. But my blood turned to ice at the terrible sight. 5 murdered co-workers gutted beyond all recognition. Their glassy eyes stared lifelessly around at hundreds of items somehow removed from their boxes, contents now inexplicably strewn about in some satanic tableau. A growl emerged behind, reeking hot breath on my neck. I slowly turned to behold a naked, blood-soaked thing with coils of slimy entrails dangling from lamprey like jaws. Frozen in shock and disbelief, I glimpsed my family photo clenched in one claw before losing consciousness. I awoke, sealed inside a pet crate. My prison was surrounded by cultists in black robes, swaying with arms outstretched, orchestrating chaos unseen by daylight shoppers. One acolyte approached, smiling. The ritual will soon commence once the store closes. I never feared the teeming aisles of Walmart until I worked the graveyard overnight stocking shift. It started subtly, with missing pallets, items scattered inexplicably. Then blood smears appeared with no source, checkout lanes abandoned hastily mid-transaction. My unease grew as rumors spread online implying occult rituals enacted by a sadistic cult were targeting gigantic chain retailers to procure ritual sacrifices. Co-workers joked to ease escalating dread after the store's intercom crackled unexpectedly at 2 a.m., blaring shrieking cacophony and demonic chanting in an unknown tongue. Laughter turned to screams when all power abruptly died, shrouding endless aisles in complete darkness. Blind panic set in as I searched frantically for an emergency exit, but found only dead ends. Heavy footsteps pounded closer from the void as my pulse raced uncontrollably. Strange musk assaulted my nose moments before meaty claws slashed my torso, shredding my uniform. I collapsed, howling in raw agony. Deranged cackling receded down the aisles, leaving only blood loss nightmares. I awoke sealed inside a pet crate on display in aisle 10, weak with pain and hunger. My prison was surrounded by chanting black-robed cultists, swaying with arms uplifted, seemingly orchestrating chaos unseen by daylight shoppers browsing household essentials. One skeletal acolyte noticed my screaming and shuffled over, pallid lips stretching into a grin. The ritual will soon commence once the store closes and stragglers disperse to our waiting vans. Then the real carnage begins. I recoiled in horror, spying mutilated body parts of my half-eaten co-workers strewn nearby wearing their Walmart vests. So the cult was feasting on staff between unholy ceremonies. Bile rose in my throat while plotting impossible escape. But I wasn't alone in captivity. A battered teen crawled from behind a mound of dismembered torsos, face etched with madness. I've survived 5 nights by hiding among the dead. He hissed, "We must distract them before sunset, or we're next on the menu." Rummaging broken shelves, we armed ourselves with box cutters and bleach bottles for makeshift weapons should my crate be breached. The teen handed me a soiled walkie-talkie. I swiped this from a robed attacker during previous chaos. We might overhear their plans, gripping it like a lifeline. We retreated behind boxes, listening in horror to screams and pleading as innocents were rounded up for the evening's sacrificial rites. Hideous gobbling and wet, ripping suggested human carnage already in progress. Soon the cultists passed my cage, drunk on bloodlust. I raised my bottle to douse robes in bleach but was spotted. With preternatural speed, the leader seized my wrist, scalpel poised to remove my defiant eyes. But the teen screamed from his hiding place, buying precious distraction. As the cult mob converged, I managed to blind my attacker with a splash before sawing wildly through the wire cage towards possible freedom deep in the store's bowels. I ran without daring to look back, the wails of the unfathomably damned echoing behind me. Emerging under moonlight, I wept, praying the teen somehow survived. But the insatiable Walmart cult forever haunted my dreams, biding its time for my eventual return.